What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg, and we just got done watching James Harden's Cleveland Cavalier debut against the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento. The Cavs won 132-126 behind pretty monster games from Jarrett Allen, James Harden, and Donovan Mitchell. There's a lot I'm excited about on the offensive end of the court from what I saw in the addition of James Harden for this Cavs team. He opened up a lot of stuff for Donovan Mitchell, and we're going to break down some of what I saw and why I'm excited and why I think that this could be huge for this Cavs team, as now they're the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. They're only 2.5 games out of the 2 seed. The Cavs came into the season expecting to be one of the 2 favorites with the New York Knicks for the NBA Finals, making the NBA Finals obviously out of the Eastern Conference. And through a majority of this first half of the season, it's felt like a massive letdown. But everything that they wanted is right out in front of them. The Pistons are playing great basketball. The Knicks have played good as of late. The Celtics have played good this year and could bring back Tatum and made a move. But the Cavs are going to be right there in that class. So coming out of the All-Star break, they have everything that they hoped for is still possible. And that's why they went out and made the moves for James Harden, Keon Ellis, and Dennis Schroeder, who all added value tonight, and Schroeder added a lot of value last game as well. Keon Ellis obviously is a great three-point shooter, so I think that's going to be hugely valuable. They came out and they lost Darius Garland, and they got rid of Lonzo Ball, and DeAndre Hunter, but they brought back kind of 3 guys that'll go into their rotation for the loss of 2 because Lonzo wasn't really playing for them. We're going to break down why I'm excited about this Cavs offense and a couple of the concerns I have. But make sure you take a second to subscribe to the channel if you love NBA content. We're breaking down a ton of what's happening in the NBA. Even though the Super Bowl's tomorrow, I'm still watching the NBA because it's what I love. So tonight, the Kings got off to a very hot start. They had a lead after the first quarter, and with about 3-4 minutes left in the first, James Harden came out of the game. The Cavs made a 15-2 run to actually make it to where they took a lead going into halftime. Donovan Mitchell only had 6 points in the first half. Harden felt like he wasn't, fully comfortable yet. He was still trying to get into the flow of the game, was a little reserved, not taking a lot of shots, whatever. But what you immediately saw with James Harden on the court is the gravity that he provides, and I think that's part of the reason that Jarrett Allen had the monster game, 29 points, 10 rebounds on 11 of 12 shooting that we saw. When James Harden would get the basketball, the Sacramento Kings would blitz him a lot as soon as he'd get past half court with 2 players. James Harden is such a smart offensive player, one of the greatest offensive players we've ever seen. He's second all time in 3-pointers, but he's also become a great facilitator. He was always really good, even in his days in Houston. Quick disclaimer, I actually have always loved to watch James Harden play. I know he's pretty controversial, especially, I don't love the way that he's left teams, but as far as like when you're watching him play basketball, I've always really enjoyed it because of the different ways that he can score, and that step back is so iconic. It's really what a lot of players have tried to emulate with not as much success. But James Harden had so much gravity that these Kings players were so worried about him that as soon as he dishes the ball and he knows exactly where to send it, it puts the Kings immediately in rotation, trying to figure out how to get back on their guys. They're running around, they're flying around, and the Cavs are moving the basketball, getting really good looks. And I think that's why Jarrett Allen was 11 of 12 from the field. We've seen big men really thrive playing next to James Harden. Zubac was playing really well next to him. Clint Capella, if you remember from his Houston Rockets days, big men have played really well next to James Harden. Embiid was good with and without Harden, so I don't give him as much credit for that. But James Harden provides so much value to your big man. And that's what great point guards do, and that's what James Harden really has become. He's averaging 25 points and 8 assists. So that was what stood out really in that first half, even though the Cavs were only up 2 at halftime and Harden hadn't done a lot. You could tell how he will be able to impact a lot of their first half offense. Coming into the second half, Mitchell only has 6 points. He finished the game with 35, and Donovan Mitchell is first in the NBA in second half scoring, and he's second in the NBA in fourth quarter scoring. So you know if the game's close, that Donovan Mitchell is going to take over. And that's the other area of the game where I felt that Harden had so much impact was in the fourth quarter. We've seen time and time again, and I live kind of close to Cleveland, so I've got out to a lot of Cavs games and watch a lot on TV. Donovan Mitchell always has this ability to go Superman mode in the fourth quarter, but it felt like he had so much pressure to do it, especially with a young Evan Mobley beside him, Jarrett Allen, who isn't the most aggressive usually in the fourth quarter of games. Darius Garland at times felt like he wasn't aggressive, but also not staying on the court. James Harden, that's the thing. Another thing that I love about James Harden, now obviously one of the biggest criticisms of modern NBA players is the way that they sit out games. James Harden is late into his career and played 79 games for the Clippers last year. So this is a player that's reliable, gonna show up and play basketball. He loves to play, and that has a lot of value in not wearing down Donovan Mitchell as the season goes on. But back to this game, when you get in the fourth quarter and Donovan Mitchell was cooking the way that he is, he kicked the ball to James Harden twice late down the stretch where Harden drilled 3-pointers. And then Harden hit 4 of 4 from the free throw line. We know Harden is a great free throw shooter. Those were the only free throws he got were those intentional fouls. But Harden had 10 points in the final few minutes of this game. And now that the way that the Cavs offense is set up, you have Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Keon Ellis. They're going to have Mobley. I think tonight they had Sam Merrill and Jarrett Allen. It has so many options for what the Cavs are going to be able to do on the offensive end of the court in clutch games or close games. And it takes a little bit of the pressure off Donovan Mitchell to where when Harden hit those 3-pointers, then it felt like Mitchell was getting better looks because they can't focus so much on Donovan Mitchell. And I've had my frustrations with Garland. Obviously, he's a very good young basketball player. And I had some reservations about this trade, but I think ultimately they just felt like that combination was not working. So they had to make a move, and they went out and got a guy who in the regular season has made so many big shots, so many big plays. And the big question is going to be, will James Harden be able to provide this same gravity? Will he be this aggressive when the playoffs roll around? We've seen James Harden have awesome playoff games, but usually in those game 6s, those game 7s, that's when James Harden sometimes kind of refuses to take shots or he gets really cold or really weird, or turns the ball over a lot. So the huge question for the Cavs for me is how will Harden perform in the playoffs? Because if he's able to provide the level of gravity I saw him provide tonight, this Cavs team's absolutely going to be a problem. Because they had a couple days of practice, and this is their first game together, and they dropped 132. Now, I do understand that the Kings defense is 28th in the NBA in defensive rating, so take that for what you will. But it's more about the way that the game looked, the way that they were able to play off of each other, and Keon Ellis obviously is a great three-point shooter. I think the Cavs could absolutely be right there in the running to win the Eastern Conference. And again, I'm not saying all this just because they beat the Kings tonight. They moved to the 4th seed in the East, and they made the moves to where they now have 3 rotation guys they lost 2. That kind of felt like what they needed. They needed one more guy, and they needed a guy who was more reliable than Darius Garland, and that's what James Harden is going to provide. So ultimately, I'm super excited to watch this Cavs team on offense. Their defense scares me a little bit. You're going to bring back Evan Mobley, the Defensive Player of the Year, one of the best defenders in the NBA. That'll help, but they're still only 11th in the NBA in defensive rating. Schroeder off the bench was really pressing the Kings guards at half court and behind half court, and provided a lot of pressure. And part of the reason the Cavs won tonight, to be honest with you, was Russell Westbrook melted down the stretch. He missed 3 wide open 3-pointers. Well, 2 wide open ones and 1 that he decided to fire from like 28 feet for some reason. It was kind of open, but because he was so far away. And then he had a bad turnover. And that's what Westbrook does. He was 5 of 7 from 3, and that can almost be your worst nightmare if you're a team with Russell Westbrook, because you know he's feeling it. And if he's feeling it, he's gonna fire it. kind of regardless of the look that he has or who else on his team is playing good. So my goal of this video is not to rip on Russell Westbrook, but I'm excited to watch Donovan Mitchell and James Harden played side by side, and I think it opens up a lot for Jarrett Allen. Like I said, Harden with big men has been hugely valuable. And ultimately, this Cavs team should be in the running to win the Eastern Conference. I thought that coming into the season. This was a very important year, and I think they're going to go. I think they're going to go for it. Jalen Tyson had 10 points tonight. He played well. Thomas Bryant off the bench, 2 of 4 from 3. They're not really lacking in a lot of areas like they were before. Maybe perimeter defense a little bit because Harden's obviously not a great defender. Mitchell's not really a great perimeter defender either. But with Schroeder off the bench, Keon Ellis is a pretty good defender as well. Maybe that clears up some of those issues. So super excited about this Cavs team. If you're a Kings fan, be pretty impressed, honestly, by your young players. They played pretty well. They shot the crap out of the basketball, like I said, 43% from 3. That's all we got for you regarding this game and early returns on the James Harden thing. We're going to watch a lot more games to see what we're looking like as the Cleveland Cavaliers continue to play games. But that's all we got for you tonight. Make sure you take a second to subscribe. Cyborg out.